Pride of the league, pride of the nation, pride of the old nations, South Sydney Rabbitohs 2020. How we doing, Josh?
Good, buddy. Good. Another episode of BJ and Game Day, guys. Good welcome to have Bogan on board here for, I guess, the team preview of his beautiful team, I guess, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, mate. A little bit of controversy here, mate. Bring back the Bears, South Sydney Rabbitohs, mate. Which is it? Which way do you lean towards?
I've always said that I would pen a very nice letter to Russell Crowe, and send it with all my South jerseys to him to say thank you very much. But if the Bears are back, I'm on board with the Bears. So
you're a Bear, fair enough.
As growing up, I was a big fan of the Bears, obviously, until they got turfed. And it was around the time, there was probably about a season or two gap in between, where the South came back, and it was a good opportunity to get on board. Both foundation clubs of the competition, and a lot of shared, so you got like the Mario Fennick factor and stuff like that, so a lot of shared history there between the Rabbitohs and the Bears, so it just made sense to switch over. Needed to support someone.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair call. Mate, loving the obviously the logos here, mate. A nice little tribute there.
I did say pride of the nations and the First Nations.
Yeah.
But also pride of Redfern. So a good Indigenous link there between the Rabbitohs and the First Australians. But I will switch over
definitely.
To the modern
and obviously
logo. Established 1908. South Sydney Rabbitohs, one of the few foundation clubs still running about. But
that's probably a lot closer than, obviously we've looked at a few of the other modern ones. That's probably a lot closer to, I guess, those 80s and 90s that we've spoken about and those kind of logos.
Their 80s logo is almost exactly the same, except instead of established 1908, it's got Rabbitohs. So I didn't bother putting their retro logo up. It's almost exact.
Mate, fair enough.
That being said,
look,
a club that prides itself on tradition, so you're not going to see the Rabbitohs change their logo to some fancy, jagged, modern design anytime soon.
Well, what can you do with a fucking bunny rabbit, eh? Like, I'm sure there's some Halloween bunnies out there or something that have got jagged teeth and whatever, but, mate, that does the job. It looks good. Mate, let's jump onto the NRL.com predicted team for round one for the Rabbits. And there's a couple of spots to talk about here. And obviously the first one there is their fullback position. Huge off-season signing of Latrell Mitchell from the Roosters. He's been given the number one jersey. I'm sure he'll have that all season just to make his own. He'll have plenty of fitness to make up, but... from the footage I've seen of him training and things like that in the preseason, looks very, very good. With him coming to the number one, it's obviously forced the exit of Adam Doueihi. Now, Adam Doueihi has signed with the Tigers. No doubt he was looking for the opportunity to keep that position, but unfortunately he finds himself on the outer and over at the Tigers. And the other one there to talk about is, look, on this team list here, number 13, Cameron Murray. A few days ago now, and by the time this video airs, probably a couple of weeks ago, Wayne Bennett has come out and talked about Cameron Murray playing a second row position rather than a lock position. So moving him to an edge and possibly having Liam Knight, the number 8, play in the lock position. So, look, this is probably the weakest the Bunnies have had in their pack for a long, long time. You've lost Sam Burgess. You've lost the experience of John Sutton. George Burgess has gone back to the UK. Tom Burgess is still there. Look, they're bringing on, I guess, Jaden Sewer, blokes like that, Ethan Lowe. Damien Cook has a lot of work to do. Damien Cook obviously performs quite well behind a rolling pack, and I can just see this pack getting dominated in so many matches. So, look, let's hope that's not the case, and let's hope Cameron Murray can lead the way for this team. Obviously, we've spoken about him before, and he will be a long, long time New South Wales Blues player. He is one of the best on the park. Very, very high ownership in Supercoach. A little bit doubt now that obviously he's been announced as that second row position, being the preferred to start the season. Let's hope that's not the case, and let's hope he holds the 13 spot. Look, from a Supercoach point of view, definitely a few interesting players in this team. Let's look at those two back rowers there in Jaden Sewer and Ethan Lowe. Now, with the retirement of Sam Burgess, the forced medical retirement, and the retirement of Johnny Sutton, long-time South Sydney Rabbitoh and captain, with their retirements, we really see these two guys get an opportunity. If Cameron Murray does play in the 12, then obviously one of these guys will miss out. I'd say it'd probably be Jaden Sewer. I think Ethan Lowe's got the performances on the board and the experience that he would start. But again, we'll just have to wait and see with Team List Tuesday. But both of these guys priced around the 300,000 mark. A lot of people anticipating if they start in those second row positions, they can average within that sort of 50 to 60 mark and jump up a couple of 100,000 in coin. So we'll just have to wait and see there. We mentioned Damien Cook. Look, Damien Cook priced at 705,000, I think it is, to start the season. Very, very hard to have him at that price considering some of the other cheapies that are available in hooker and blokes like Api Coruscant and such playing 80-minute games. Apparently that's what will happen. So we'll just have to wait and see there with Cookie. One thing we do know, by the season's end, you want to have him in your team because he is, I guess, the best performing hooker in the game. And it's just a matter of whether he can apply those skills behind a slower forward pack than in previous years. In the back line there, look, number 6, Cody Walker. You'll see him on your screen there. Fantastic player, brilliant at Supercoach. Very, very much like Anthony Milford in that he's a little bit inconsistent. So we'd like to see a little bit more consistency there. Can score, as we saw last year, 4 tries in a game, scored 150 points. Unfortunately, Brent Hampton, I think he traded him out that week or was going to trade him in or something like that. I can't remember the story, but he was absolutely filthy, Brent Hampton. But then again, Ken scores sort of 20 or 25. So wants to find that little bit of consistency, and that'll take him in a long stead to become one of the primary Supercoach players. In their back line, now number 3, Braden Burns, had an absolutely horror year last year with hamstring injuries. Played the first 3, 4, 5 games of the season last year, something like that. Looked absolutely brilliant. Scored huge. It was all in base stats. Didn't have to score any tries or anything like that. Last year, I think he might have played about 7 or 8 games in total just because of these hamstring injuries. Only scored the 1 try, but his average was just brilliant. So definitely one to watch out for. Could be a sneaky pod. I think his ownership might be up a little bit more than when we had him in the pod video not too long ago. So yeah, one to watch out for. But you don't want to see sort of 20 or 30% of people having him. Look, on the bench, we've mentioned Keon Kolomatangi. We've mentioned a couple of these other guys. One of the guys we saw who's actually not there on that list is Eden Gebbie. He's outside the top 30 at the moment, but very much could force his way in. He had a fantastic 9 season. Look, names there like Bryson Goodwin, Alex Johnston, a lot of NRL experience there in those 2 guys. Very, very good players, so we could see them back at any time if any of the guys in the current squad lose form. Kurt Dillon signed over from the Sharks. Very, very good prop. And again, with, I guess, them losing some in the front row, we could see him push his way into the squad. Look, the bench for the Bunnies, and this is where their huge weakness is. Tavita Totola and Mark Nichols off the bench. Tommy Amone, solid, but without being brilliant. And this is where I just think that the Bunnies, I guess teams that come up against the Bunnies this year, if you can win that battle up the middle, and it shouldn't be too hard, I reckon there's a lot of teams that can run over the top of the Bunnies. They've obviously got brilliance across the back line. Latrell Mitchell's fantastic. Campbell Graham can finish off any play. Some very, very strong runs from, I guess, deep in his own half as well. Braden Burns and James Roberts in the centres. Look, we've touched on Braden Burns, but James Roberts has sort of lost a little bit of his form. The speed seems to have gone a little bit, so he can hopefully return to form. And then obviously Dan Gagai on the wing plays absolutely fantastic for the Queensland Maroons, and every now and then will show up in a brilliant game for the Bunnies as well. Look, quick chat about their number 7 in Adam Reynolds. Unfortunately, Adam Reynolds, a lot of injuries throughout his career. He is one that I completely avoid all the time. As I mentioned in the commandments, always pick healthy players. If you're going to be tossing up between two players, pick the one that's the healthiest the most, because that way you can avoid all trades. Look, whether it's a leg, whether it's a knee, whether it's an arm, Adam Reynolds just finds ways to get injured. So hopefully as the body gets older, he can get a little bit sort of more consistent with that and avoid those injuries. But, mate, that's about it. Any thoughts on your boys, buddy?
Main thought is that fucking Rabbitohs are expensive this year. So I will point out Latrell Mitchell, very expensive player, but he does have that dual position capability this year. So he's listed as a centre winger and a fullback. So if you are looking to get yourself one of those high-priced fullbacks, keep Latrell in mind, because you do have that ability to shift him around.
Absolutely, mate.
Cameron Murray's probably first picked in my team. That being said, Totola, I have to disagree with you on Totola. I actually had him in my team for the majority of last season, and he was probably one of the better performers in my lackluster team. I found that period,
probably goes a long way of telling why your team was lackluster.
No, to be fair, he was a consistent performer, especially when Sam Burgess was out injured during that period, during the middle of the season. I think he's going to get a lot more time this year, and you'll probably see his average go up.
Well, I mean, that's what you're going to see, is obviously if the talk in the preseason is Liam Knight will play 13, Tavita Totola will be the one that starts the match. So I actually didn't have him too much last year, but I had him for the full season the year before, where he was coming off the bench. He started that season about 180,000. He only ever made it up to about 260, 270 because he couldn't get huge minutes, but was definitely a good player. And he's a guy I've kept my eye on because I've been impressed with him. But what I just think is that the Eels team gets a little bit dominated up forward. Hopefully, maybe I'm wrong there, but I just think that they've just lost that little bit of X factor in the forwards.
It is a concern. So having those rocks there that are always reliable, game in, game out, consistent, to be a wall. And in the past, the Rabbitohs have had brick wall forward packs. They don't have that this year. But that being said, with the addition of Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker hitting his straps last year, Braden Burns hopefully stays injury free. I think what they're losing in forwards, they're probably adding to in strike power in the back line. So it'd be interesting to see the way it plays out for them this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the draw, mate, for the Bunnies for 2020. Yeah. And, it's not too bad a draw early on. They've got a couple of the top teams, obviously, but then it gets a little bit easier up to Origin. So,
Raiders on Anzac weekend. I'll probably find my way there. So that should be a good one.
But look, another top 8 team with that bye in round 16. Wait, will they have the bye in round 16?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, they got the bye in round 16, but one of the top teams who doesn't have it in round 12. So interesting to see there. Obviously, that may have to come into a little bit of play depending on how people organise their teams. At this stage, I won't be having Cookie at any time soon. Unless he starts banging out hundreds after hundreds, I'll find a way to get him in. But I think I'm going to go a cheaper route in the hooker. And cheaper route in the hooker. Jesus.
Yeah, I'll clip that out for later.
I've never gone the cheaper route in a hooker. Actually, I've never gone any route in a hooker, but there you go. And yeah, I reckon I'll probably get him after Origin, bring him in then. Hopefully by then, plenty of cash in the bank. I can bring him in and have that gun sort of hooker duality between him and either Cam Smith or someone else that performs well. So, yep. Guys, that's it for another episode. Make sure you jump on the BJ and GameDay Supercoach group, 218-667. The code's just up there.
Hopefully it's over 100 now. It was 99 at my count before recording tonight. So hopefully by the time this comes out, it'll be well over 100. But
Mate, I'm sure we'll be over 100 by then. So this will probably come out a couple of weeks after we've recorded it, just with all the other teams that have gone before it. So
plenty
guys,
of time
that's it for another one.
Plenty of time for the Rabbitohs to find themselves in trouble for various misconduct, it seems, that be the pattern at the moment in the NRL. But, sorry to interrupt your outro there, Joshy.
No, you're right, mate. You're right. Keep an eye out, guys. We've obviously got the Roosters and the Melbourne Storm to go, so plenty of players from those teams to have a chat about, and they'll be coming up very, very soon. Cheers, guys. Hey, guys. Joshy here. Thanks very much for joining us for another episode of BJ on Game Day. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube for all your notifications. If you do want to follow us on Facebook, you can find us there at BJ on Game Day. And on Twitter, we're at BJ on Game Day as well. So, guys, we'd really like your support with that. Follow us so we can know you guys are enjoying the content. Thanks very much.